My brothers and sisters in Christ, modern man is obsessed with power. This chase for power can be disguised by many different veneers or headings, the search for knowledge, all kinds of different descriptors. In the end, is just an obsession about power, about self-determination, the ability to make things happen. And this is at the complete opposition to the spirit of the gospel, which is an acknowledgement that power is not ours. We are creatures of the Creator God. All power belongs to God. But before someone points out that this is just a depressing way of looking, it shows it again. When everything is just on a spectrum of power or lack thereof, then we're completely closed off to what the mystery of the gospel is about. And the first reading today is a very important insight in this direction. Jesus stuns everyone in his earthly ministry through the great works, the miracles that he performs. In the Bread of Life discourse, we've even seen, they want to see escalating signs. Okay, you multiplied loaves and fishes, but Moses gave manna, so maybe you're equivalent to Moses. But if you're more than Moses, you need to do a greater sign to show that you have more power than Moses did. It's this way of thinking that equates the power of the act to your power, your strength, who you are. And Jesus' response is to stop thinking that way, but to realize all of it comes from the Father. Whether it was Moses didn't give the manna. The Father gave the manna. Moses was his prophet, the one that acted in his name. Moses gave the law. It wasn't because Moses had powers. That Moses was the one that God sent to his people, but God did the great work. And in the same way, Jesus says that everything he does is because he's in union with the Father. He's not limited in any way. Yes, we can say he's God, but yes, in his humanity, he is in complete union with God. He is man in alignment with the will of God and therefore his power. He's an unimpeded receptacle to God, if we want to think of it in those terms. Unlike we who are open to God and God can do things in us, but we're also sinners. We doubt, we don't trust God. Our own will competes with God's will. In Jesus, there is no such conflict. He's in alignment with the Father's will, and these things therefore can happen. But Jesus, interestingly, also says to his disciples, even greater things will be done by you. This seems like a strange thing to say. His apostles aren't God. And yet he says that you will do these same works and even greater ones. And we see this finally happening in today's gospel as, by terms of earthly signs, the greatest one Jesus does is raising the dead. And now Peter has raised someone from the dead. Is Peter the equal of Jesus? Of course not. But Peter in this moment is in alignment with the will of God. He has opened himself completely in faith to God, and therefore these great actions flow through him. It's not about the wielding or the possessing of power, but it's about the fact that in God all things are possible. It is God who accomplishes all things. The question is, are we open to him? And so we see the flip side, if you will, the dark side of this in the gospel, where as the Bread of Life discourse comes to an end, we see the consequences, that the teaching is too difficult for some to receive, and so some disciples turn and walk away. This is a very sad episode. It shows the gift refused. Some will refuse the gift. But it's not just a binary about yes or no. Each day we wake up and we either cooperate with God or we don't. Yes, we have the life of the Spirit in us, we have his grace, but we can cooperate it or not. I can compete, I can be stubborn in my will against his. I can doubt his will, I cannot trust, I cannot listen, or I can be like Peter. And when I fully align, open my heart to receive all that God has prepared, it's not that I will become a superhero or have powers, but God will be able to accomplish all things in and through me. And so this is the calling of perfection in the spiritual life we are meant to have, to be that pure vessel of the life of God in us and communion with Him, so that we may truly be His hands and feet. May God bless you all.